Hi, I'm Coach Christine. This is my podcast. It's the Your Empty Nest Coach podcast, and we're on episode 158. If this isn't your first time listening and you want to skip the introduction portion, feel free to tap forward a couple of times. In this podcast, I focus on helping parents who are freaking out about the empty nest ahead. We'll take you from freaking out to feeling freaking awesome. No worries, though, all are welcome here, as I'm all about coaching you to become the CEO of your life. And in my world, CEO stands for Conscious Effective Olympian. You'll do this by leveling up your life in small increments. Those small wins add up to big changes. I appreciate that you press play on this episode today. Here we go. This podcast is my gift to you, a parent adjusting to the idea of an empty nest, or possibly a student who's wondering how your parents are feeling about you heading out on your own. These podcast episodes will have a base of life coaching infused with reminders to cheer yourself on, and maybe with a dash of my alter ego Sally, the hotline video operator, popping in from time to time. I'm here to remind you that you should be your own biggest fan. Before we dive in, this is the first episode I have released since the June 24th Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, and I'd like to take a moment to address it. No, I don't always share things like this here, but this one my inner guidance wouldn't let go of. The Supreme Court's decision stripped away the legal right to have a safe and legal abortion for all Americans by leaving this decision up to the states. Restricting access to comprehensive reproductive care, including abortion, threatens the health and independence of all Americans, impacting us, our children, and generations to come. This decision could also lead to the loss of other rights. To learn more about what you can do to help, visit podvoices.help. You'll find ways to get involved and other resources there. I encourage you to take care, speak up, and spread the word, all from a place of love. And now for the usual quick reminders. First, you'll find time markers in this episode's full show notes if you are looking for something specific or would like to hop around. Second, you'll find a ton of information, resources, and more on my website, youremptynestcoach.com or emptynestsuccess.com. Reminder number 3, if you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to follow it in your favorite podcast player or register for a free account in the Empty Nest Success home. You may also join my Thursday Thoughts About email list, where I'll pop in your inbox with a thought and updates on most Thursdays. Those are the best ways to be notified when I release a new episode. And finally, a special thanks to our fabulous sponsor and my dear friends, Supapass. Supapass powers the online home for all available resources that I have created for you. Register today for that free account I mentioned. You'll find it at emptynestsuccess.com, where you may also join the CEO training team or purchase other premium content. My wish for you today. My wish for you today is that you are able to see and believe in an exciting future ahead by allowing yourself permission to become you, to see opportunities you might normally miss. If you are intrigued and want to dive a bit deeper into this topic, I have a short what-if affirmation and worksheet related to this topic titled Open Eyes, Empty Nest Success, available for you. See the show notes. New things. I added a new membership option in the Empty Nest Success community. I'll be breaking all future podcast episodes and the back catalog as I have time into segments to make topics easier to find. Become a Your Empty Nest Coach podcast patron for access, and a few other goodies, including a podcast shout-out, are included. Join today for only $5 a month. Another new thing is that you'll find the podcast episodes that are parts of series Curated now also in the Empty Nest Success community. Curated topics include empty nest syndrome, empty nest prep, the CEO of your life concepts, and more. My lessons learned. Sometimes things get easier the more you embrace them. Have you ever noticed that? About 6 months ago, I said to myself, what if I don't keep my married last name? I gave it some thought and quickly poo-pooed the idea. Yes, I said poo-poo. A bit later, it popped in my mind again. At that time, I did a little online research, and once I saw how much work is involved and that it could impact my credit score, I stopped considering it again. After all, I thought to myself, Christine, it's already been a busy year. Do we really need to add anything else into the mix? So I let it go again. Again, it came up and I couldn't shake it. By now, though, I began to consider, okay, what would I change my name to? And then it took courage to say what I was thinking out loud to someone. That I'm thinking about completely changing my current last name. I believe it was my daughter who heard it first. Honestly, she was way more supportive than she needed to be, but she's also one of the most practical humans I know, and someone who is extremely aware that her mother changing her name isn't about her, it's for her mother. Yeah, I feel like I should wipe the tears away now. I still wasn't ready to commit to the change, but I began floating the idea a bit more as the weeks progressed. Even mentioned it to some others who had a bit more pushback on the topic, especially since I was planning on going with a brand new last name. There was a lot of back and forth for me on the topic, and then finally one day I woke up and thought, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm ready to put the finances behind it and do the paperwork. Oh, the paperwork. Then the waiting. Who do I tell? Anyone? Everyone? Does anyone want to be there with me at my court hearing? Should I ask anyone? Should I do it alone? The last time I changed my name, there was a really big ceremony and party. And this time, what do I do? After working through my own thoughts and desires, navigating comfortably, though sometimes not so well, around other people's reactions, getting fingerprinted, the criminal check, the searches on the name, 2 counties to process it all through since I had recently moved, public notices in papers, and many phone calls. Way too many phone calls. But the day finally arrives. I head to my morning appointments to pick up the final paperwork. Super easy. And the friendliest of people everywhere. I had a few hours before the hearing, so I treated myself to a lovely meal in one of my favorite lunch spots. I arrived super early and had this moment where I was the only one in this huge stone hallway of the courthouse. Big, wide, sterile feeling. A lot of marble and gray, if you can picture it. The kind where if you walk with heels, you hear the echo for seconds. No one was there. And in that moment, it hit me how clear the rest of my path was to get this done. No one was going to oppose the change. No one was ever in my way any more than I allowed them to be. I did this for me, but I had to decide it was worth the joyous investment of my time to make this huge, and it is huge, change. There I am, sitting in the hallway, processing all of this, thinking it would make a great episode. And just as I was thinking about if I could have anyone here with me, who would it be? At that moment, I heard the sound of a group of people chatting, entering the hallway, and head towards me. All to the courtroom I'm assigned to. All name changes. Every single person there with me in that moment understood the impact, understood the paperwork, the emotions, and the change. They were exactly who I needed with me. For an hour or so, we were all family. It was beautiful. All of us were changing our names for different reasons. All of us were nervous and excited at the same time. We waited together, extended encouragement and celebratory words when the judge agreed to sign the court orders. I cried tears of joy for the others, much easier than for me, because when it was my turn, I was in work mode. But it was amazing and fantastic and lovely. Just as you reach a destination in your life, understanding it's only the beginning of what is next makes it fun. 2 days later, I spent the day at the Social Security office, the DMV, notaries, and more. all went so much better than expected, despite being told by 3 people that day that the DMV wasn't going to give me a new license without X, Y, and Z. And what is the lesson I learned? I already kind of said it with, no one was ever in my way any more than I allowed them to be. I'll adjust that statement too. No one was ever in my way more than I allowed them to be, and no one was ever in my way more than I was. And how can we apply this to the empty nest? Well, we often get in our own way with our thoughts. We spend hours and hours of time worried and concerned for our kids, for our future, about choices, and more. Time that we could be focused instead on the things that bring us joy. After all, when is the last time you saw worry and concern actually fix a problem? Think about it. Worry and concern, they simply seem to stir a pot of drama. But there are some people who do love the drama. If you aren't one of those humans, pay attention to your thoughts and where they are throughout the day. You'll catch them in the strangest of places. And when you do catch them, don't add to the drama by being upset that you had the thought in the first place, or that you spent so much time thinking about it. Instead, try being thankful that you caught the thought before it spiraled. Be thankful that you have the opportunity to change it to a thought that allows you to feel better. And the more thoughts you change, the clearer your path will become. It's all you, after all. You've got this. And I'm cheering you on. Ask Coach Christine. Christine, my kiddo is heading off to college in the fall. I'm excited for them. People keep telling me, though, just you wait, you are going to be a mess. I'm not seeing it. Should I be concerned? Simply, nope. If you need a little more, here you go. If you feel good right now, stay there. You may feel perfectly fine, even wonderful, through the transition and the empty nest years, or it might hit you all of a sudden. Either way, your journey is your journey. There is no right or wrong. There is, however, now. Now, this moment. This is all you do know for sure. So if you feel good now, embrace it. Lean into it and let others spin their tales about how you might feel. That is their story to tell. But for now, you are exactly where you need to be. Enjoy it. What's in your life's toolbox? Your CEO toolbox is the analogy we use for items and resources that help you get through tough moments, enjoy the amazing moments, and then also do some deeper work as needed. Today's recommendation is a fun one and one that would be a top of the toolbox item. It isn't deeper level work, but it could turn into that for sure. What is it? It's to sign up for something you wouldn't normally sign up for. Something that maybe you needed to do a double take when you read it or heard about it, or something that's a bit challenging, but also something that you could imagine a version of yourself doing. It could be virtual or in person. It could be something you pay for or something that's free. Maybe it's not an event, but it's reading a genre of book that you wouldn't normally read. It really can be anything. Something that's a stretch for you, but also doable. For some of you, a warning, the goal here is not to set out to become an expert. The goal is to see if you like it. And also, what can you learn about yourself by trying it? Learning what motivates you and what doesn't. Learning what you enjoy doing and what you don't enjoy doing is incredibly valuable. It's more information for that toolbox of yours. I'd love to know what you try. What I wish my parents knew. I have a special guest for this segment, LaTrina Rogers, also known as the Dorm Mom on TikTok, where I believe I first connected with her. LaTrina shares with us today what she wishes parents knew. She is the Director of Residential Life at Rankin Technical College in St. Louis, Missouri, and she's driven by a passion for student success. LaTrina's full bio and link to her website will be, you guessed it, in my show notes. Be sure to connect with her and let her know you heard her segment here.
Things I wish parents knew from the dorm mom. I wish parents knew that teaching independence has to come with opportunities to be independent. And those opportunities can be done very early by a student learning to complete an application, by a student learning to self-advocate for resources that they need in school. Those things can be easily taught so that when they get older, for instance, the audience I work with are college students. When a student gets older and they come to college, that parent should go from leading that student to supporting that student, meaning the student should be completing their own applications for housing, for college, for parking. Over my years in higher education, I have seen countless amounts of parents completing applications for their student. And I strongly encourage the parents to not do that because it takes away the opportunity for their student to be independent. That student will have to answer questions when that parent goes home and that student is now matriculating on a college campus. So it's very imperative they learn those little things, and that also gives them confidence in their independence. Allow your students to experience those little bumps of adversity that may come if they miss a deadline, if they don't show up on time. There are consequences to actions, and oftentimes parents try to remove the consequences. But part of being independent and having freedom is that there's a responsibility to go with it. All of that is taught not just by instruction, but it's solidified by experience. And that independence, as you know, as a parent, as an adult, is beyond joyous, especially for someone young and just experiencing it. So remember, take your student from leading them to supporting them at the proper age, and also encourage independence by giving small opportunities for them to engage in it. You can empower your student to be great in so many things and on so many levels. That's what I wish parents knew.
2 questions for you. Question 1. Are you able to identify thoughts that don't serve you throughout the day? And question 2. Is there something you've been wanting to try? As always, I provide content to make you think, my emptiness friend. My hope is that I'm able to provide you with thoughts that positively impact your life. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to share it with others. It's the best way to allow it to reach a wider audience. Yes, all the goodies, links, and resources are in my show notes, and I'll be back next month with a new episode. Thank you for listening. Thanks for being you. The world is incredibly lucky to have you here. You are amazing. I shouldn't have eaten all that food, but I didn't know I was recording my podcast episode again. So sorry. This is going to be fun to edit. And I need to get it done in an hour or so. I'm really close to the mic. You know what? I got to take my earrings out because they're going to click. Okay. All right. Still listening? I am aware that I didn't tell you my new last name. It isn't really a secret. I'm just still syncing everything behind the scenes. I did share the story with the CEO training team members in a behind the scenes video. So if you're a member and curious, check out the video. It will be public everywhere soon enough, and much of that story does feel like I'll include it in my upcoming book.